This bar nearly made me DNF on one of the biggest rides of my life. When it comes to endurance sport, there's a really common phrase, which is you always try it out before race day. And for me, I've been using Clif Bars on off for Zone 2 rides. Zero issues, felt absolutely fine. Then I noticed a bit of a trend. I'd go out for a ride and I'd get this really intense GI distress. In fact, it was actually painful. It would hurt so much. And it was a really intense nausea that would almost cause me to DNF several times. The catch is, it took me a long time to work out what was causing it. So I'm hoping in this video here, I can save you months of trial and error and hopefully help you spot the ingredients that might be causing GI issues or prevent them entirely from even happening. So I've got an unreleased clip I'm going to show you now. And this is me coming back from a ride. So I'm going to be really candid here, and apologies if I'm not sounding as quite enthusiastic as I normally do. Honestly, I'm feeling sort of 3 or 4 out of 10 on today's ride. I started feeling quite hot. As I was going out, I felt really hot, like almost like hot sweats. Now you saw in there, I looked a little bit pale. What you didn't see beforehand was the fact I nearly had to pull over because I thought I was experiencing some sort of heart problem. I was burning up, felt ridiculously hot. Again, the really intense nausea. I'm having chest pains. I'm really not in a good way. Turned out an oat latte was all it took to wipe me out. So I came back home and I looked up what ingredients were in this Oatly product. And I'm sorry, Oatly, I think it's fantastic what you do, but this gave me such bad GI issues. And just picture this for a second here. You've had an oat milk latte at the start of the race, and now you're an hour into it and you're about to DNF. You think you're having heart problems. That would be absolutely crazy. Imagine you're doing like an Ironman triathlon. You spent months and months and months training just to get nerfed by a coffee at the start. And so I came back and I looked it up, and apparently the gums and emulsifiers used in a lot of these barista style plant-based milks can cause really bad GI distress in certain people. So that for me became a bit of a benchmark. Either stick to a black coffee, or if you're going to have some sort of plant-based milk, just make sure it's not one of these barista style ones. So it's probably safer to have an Americano than it was to have a latte. So fast forward a little bit later, I'm using Clif Bars. I think, hey, I can take them out the wrapper, I can have it on the bike. And as I mentioned in my other nutrition video, they're sometimes good to have between cafe stops, or if you pulled over for a little bit, you're waiting for a rider to come up. Just a nice way of topping up the carb stores, something solid to chew on. I'll just throw back here to Calpe. Both times I'm saying I'm feeling really nauseous, and I had to cast my memory back and I said, what did I eat beforehand? It didn't even occur to me that this might be an issue. Before I went to the top, I'd had 2 Clif Bars. And so by the time they were starting to digest, I was now running into these GI issues. But why I didn't think anything of it was because I was using these fine indoors on Zone 2 rides, but as soon as the intensity increased a little bit, because it's never going to be perfect, there's so many uncontrollable variables. We've got hill climbs, power's going to increase a little bit, we've got traffic, we've got stress. All of that seems to be the perfect storm. And then fast forward again to June. I went ahead and did the RCC Far Ride up in Manchester. And I remember getting to, I think it was like just before the second feed stop, I decided to have a Clif Bar. Then all of a sudden, I'm feeling really nauseous. And I'm thinking, I might have to call my girlfriend here. I might have to DNF. I can't do this. I'm feeling so sick. And I'm trying the usual things, chugging down some Coca-Cola. I'm thinking it's a stomach bug. But I'm starting to think there's a bit of a pattern here because it's happening quite often. And the final thing that just unlocked everything was when I went ahead and did the Dragon Ride. And if you haven't checked out that video, make sure you do. And on there, got to the first feed stop, had a Clif Bar, and between the first and second feed stop, I had never felt so unwell in my life. And the nausea was so intense, I couldn't eat or drink. So now I'm bonking. It was just, it was a mess. It was horrible. And again, I had spent months training for this, only to go ahead and get nerfed by a Clif Bar. Absolutely crazy. And what I remember is a lot of people have told me Clif Bars are fantastic. They're great for athletes. Like, you want to use them. They're a carb source. And so I thought in good faith that, yeah, these are fantastic. But I'm not sure if you can read that on the label there. There's a bit of a clue as to why it was causing issues. It's about 10 grams of protein. There's so many key ingredients that stood out as potentially what was causing the GI issues. We've got soy protein or soy protein isolate. Sounds great, but we don't really want protein on a ride because it's going to sit in our stomach, make it feel really heavy, and cause that GI distress. Another one was, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, so I'm not going to do the YouTuber thing by mispronouncing it 5 times, but I believe it's called inulin. Might also be under chicory root fibre. This is great. Clif Bars make a solid option. It's like maybe a midday snack, but this added fibre slows down digestion and is also potentially something that can cause GI distress. We've also got gums and emulsifiers in here as well. So it seems like I'm maybe one of those weird people who's slightly sensitive to those. And this one here, the chocolate almond fudge one, has also got added fats from obviously the peanut butter and the chocolate. So again, this is like the perfect storm for slowing down that digestion. We've got fat, we've now got protein, and we've got fiber. The three things we don't want to have on a ride. The reason being is it slows down digestion. So I think what was happening is I was having this fiber, protein, fat, slow down the digestion. I'm then having a reaction to the inulin in there. So it's the only product I'm aware of that has it. Because when I go ahead and use something like a Sturker bar, and this isn't a sales pitch, I'm not sponsored by Sturker, but when I have something like this, it doesn't have those ingredients in it. And it's also low protein, low fat. So it digests really well. I can have one of these with zero issues. I have a Clif Bar, a DNF, and it's took me ages, like literally 6 months to try and figure this out. And it's again, that perfect storm. As I'm now pushing up higher intensity, blood's getting drawn away from my stomach, which is now having to rush there because it's trying to digest more. It's sucking it away from the legs. It causes all sorts of problems here. And if we've got active known ingredients in there that can cause that GI distress and that nausea, then we're in this perfect storm here for why that was causing me DNF. And no real shade towards Clif here. They are good snacks. They're solid. I just, personally for me, I can't recommend these endurance rides. There's too much in it now that prevents it from being like a really good carb source. Now I'll have a look around. There might be maybe some old school recipe ones or something that don't have all these added ingredients in there. So you might wonder about something like this, like a flapjack, for example. And I mentioned in another video, there's a brand called OTE or Oat, and they do palm oil free flapjacks. And the advantage of that, lower fat, you're still gonna have a little bit of fiber from the oats. And it's weird because even though it's got palm oil and margarine, I have used these occasionally on a ride. I know they're higher fat than what I'd normally want. I don't think I've ever had an issue with a flapjack because again, there's no added fiber. There's no chicory root fiber. There's no gums and emulsifiers. They're actually bizarrely more clean and easier to digest than the Clif Bar is. With that list of ingredients there, I hope that helps you avoid these sort of GI issues. Nutrition is very much a game of experimentation. You have to try these things out. In hindsight, I wonder if I'd maybe done indoor rides and pushed a little bit more, that it would have flagged it up. And it's definitely something I'm going to look into. But now understanding these ingredients, I now know what to avoid. And I hope no one ever goes through the experience of having GI distress like this. And probably a parting line here before we go is, what do you do if you do end up having GI distress like this? Like, what is the protocol? How do you recover from it? How do you get back into the race? And so it's going to be an answer not many people are going to like, which is you have to stop. And that's the only thing I can think of that actively helped with this issue. So we think about it. If we have like the Clif Bar, it's got these ingredients, my stomach's not happy, it's trying to digest and I'm trying to pedal at the same time, that blood flow is getting redirected. It's fighting between my stomach and my legs. So when it happened to me on the Dragon ride, what I did is I got to the feed stop and stopped. I think I stopped there for, I think it was close to an hour. And so when I got there, I was in a real state. I'm really surprised the paramedics didn't come over because I was hunched over the bike, barely moving, making all sorts of groaning noises. And I grabbed some water, chugged it down, but it was like every 5 minutes that went by, I was feeling better. And the only thing I can think of here, and if you know in the comments, please let me know, and please share it because it'd be really interesting to know. I'm assuming, and it's a dangerous word here, but by me stopping pedaling and just taking a bit of time off the bike there, it was allowing it to digest and pass. Because as soon as that happened, about an hour later, I got back on the bike and was fine. I think I had like one more Clif Bar left. And I think at that point in it, something told me don't eat it. And so I didn't. I'm glad I didn't either. If you got any other advice as well, please drop it in the comments as well. I'd be really keen to know. I can't be the only one who's had this, but I just wanted to share my experience with it as well, because this could just ruin your day. Absolutely ruin it, especially if you spent months training. I've also seen a bit of a move on Instagram lately to push towards cleaner source of fuel. And it's an interesting take. It's definitely something I've started looking into ever since this has happened. But I feel like it's a bit of a slippery slope. You could get into a point where, unless it's like single ingredients, you're not going to eat it. But instead, I try and flip it around the other way And now I've got a key list of ingredients. If I see it's got soy protein in it, it's not getting used on the bike. If it's got inulin or chicory root fiber, staying far away from it. In fact, a better option to have would be these sweets. Low fiber, low or zero protein and zero fat, and just pure carbs. Per 100 grams, check this out, 84 grams of carbs. It's fantastic. So I think the moral of this story is choose sweets. So if this has been useful, please let me know. And I hope this spares you from the same fate I went through. And with that, I can't wait to see you again in the next video.